Oh,
that intro, dude.
You like that, right?
There's like six lead guitar players.
Just did it one, That's how I roll with that.
Oh, all two-handed tapping.
Yeah, two guitars too.
That'll get you some Instagram likes, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Put both hands on the fretboard and you instantly get a neural endorsement and a periphery sticker.
I'll take the first one.
Yeah.
I'll take the second.
Hey everybody, are we live?
We're live.
We're live.
Welcome. Last Wednesday of the month. You know what day it is. It's Wednesday, obviously. We're here. Welcome, everyone. We have special guest tonight. If you can't see in the top right, his name's Mark Lewis. It says by his name right there. Jay, do you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, I'm terrible at the intro thing, and but Mark, I've known Mark since 2005 now.
Oh yeah,
I think something like that, and he's an audio engineer, producer, mixer, weightlifter, bodybuilder, as you can tell.
I'm fat.
And I got to pull it up because I always forget stuff. I'll be stumbling over everything. But Mark has, and now it's gone. There we go. It's the first time doing the show, What am I looking at? All right, here we go. Mark, my esteemed colleague over there, has worked with Devil Driver, Whitechapel, Black Dahlia Murder, as well as, more importantly, not really, he's mixed the new Gizmachi record, which I was a part of. So we asked him to come on, hang out, talk about some music, talk about some guitars, talk about some engineering, producing, and yeah, that's it. So
yeah,
we're gonna have a good time.
Sick.
So
we have a lot to talk about tonight. There's a new video that came out today for Look What I've Become.
Oh, we're going right there, huh?
Let's start with that. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, killer. Yeah. I'm into it.
We can't start with that. We got this to do first.
Oh, we'll start with this. I got it. Executive producers brought to you tonight. It's my man Chuck Green, Joe Christian, Wayno, Thomas Santiago, Music Therapy Laz, Straight Tom, James Gum, Voodoo Childs J, Frank Corcoran, Michael Smith.
The captain.
Thank you. Steve Franklin, Dan Hillen, Johnny Moronic, Jimmy Ray Hawkins, and Steve Carmichael.
Steve Carmichael!
Become a channel member. Click the join button. It's there. Do it. Touch it. Rub it. And you can listen to the Johnny Beane show here all over the place. Check it out, everyone.
What's that bottom right one? Does anybody know what that is?
That's Google.
That's Google?
Google Podcasts.
They should rethink that logo.
Everybody's on the Google podcast at all times because they're always listening to what you're doing.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
They know what we're doing right now, but it's not important enough.
Yeah.
Alexa and Siri are listening.
What up?
So let's get right into it, Mark.
Yeah.
I want to know how you got into the world of audio engineering. Because, I mean, when we met on Ozfest, you were Gizmachi's guitar tech as well as Trivium's guitar tech. But you were already doing stuff before that, right?
Yeah, no, I started. I mean, at that point, I was already working with Jason Sukoff, and I did a session with the Trivium guys for that Roadrunner United record that we did in May of 2005 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had moved to Florida in 2003 and then finished school, and Sukoff wasn't that busy, but we had met and I was helping him out. And I ended up moving back to Maryland. I was teaching guitar. Long story short, it was like April or May of 2005. He's like, hey man, come down here and help me with this Roadrunner United thing. Like I need an engineer to help me get this session done. And he's like, if it goes really well, just stay, just move into the house and work with me. And it went well. And that was like the first like full length thing that we had done. But I mean, I'm a guitar player, so it started there. And my dad was quite an audiophile, so I was really into his stereo equipment and fucking with it and pissing him off. and chaining his tape machines together and wondering why my Marshall Valve Estate mic'd up with a tape recorder didn't sound like James Hetfield. I'm like, why don't I sound like Hetfield? And then then it was the obsession from there. But I mean, I always wanted to be in bands and wanted to be a guitar player and blah blah blah. And and I was teaching guitar and I went to college for music performance and all that shit and never finished. But at the time I was on Ozfest, that was probably like when I was taking guitar the most seriously, but then kind of had to get away from it because I was so busy in the studio. So yeah, I just started as a guitar player and then got obsessed with sounds and had a bunch of guitar teachers that were really instrumental in making me like get into tones because they were all gearheads. And then my dad with the audiophile stuff. And my dad was always like, if you're going to be a guitar player, you better learn theory and you better learn how music works and you better learn how, sound works and blah, blah, blah. And he always pushed that shit on me. He wasn't like, you're not going to sit around and fucking play Metallica. You have to learn how this works. You have to be a professional.
Is there really anything more than playing Metallica?
No, I tried to tell him that. And it's, I haven't really done much more than that either, but that's how it started is as a guitarist.
So how did then, if you did that first session with Sukoff at Audio Hammer in May of 2005,
yeah,
it was only like 2 months or 3 months after that was Ozfest. So how did you go from doing your first session there and then all of a sudden jumping right on the road? Was it Trivium that asked you like, hey?
Yeah, because I engineered that Roadrunner United thing. And to be honest with you, I think the guys just wanted to hang out with me more than anything, and then obviously, yeah. But yeah, they're like, hey, come out and be our guitar tech and whatever. And so I did. And, I was working with you guys too, but you guys were pretty self-sufficient. I didn't do a lot for you dudes.
Well, the reason is because we never had anything like that before. So, I didn't know you when we first met, obviously. And yeah. I didn't, I was always used to I knew how to tune my stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wasn't at the point of like, can I trust this guy to like tune my guitar for me before I go on stage? Like, I didn't know.
Plus, Jane's the most anal human being ever. So
Mark knows.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah. I'd rather be your guitar tech than mix your record. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's what it was. And I mean, Sukoff at that point was not booked up too much that summer. So he's like, go on the road with them, and then come back. And by the time I got back,
it was loaded.
It was loaded up. I mean, Ascendancy was on fire, and then everybody wanted to work with Sukoff. And then we went. I mean, I got home from that in August or whatever the hell, and we went right into doing, I think, If Hope Dies. It was a band that was on a Metal Blade subsidiary, and we did that record. And then we did a bunch of demos for Sanctity. They got signed to Roadrunner. And then it was like Christmas, and I went to Maryland for a little while or something, I think, maybe. And then February 2006 was Bury Your Dead, Beauty and the Breakdown. And that was one of the first records we did together. And I mean, Jesus, that thing, I think I still get work from that album, and it's 15 years old, and we were kids. I was 22 when we made that record.
Holy shit.
We're about to turn 23. Yeah.
Damn.
And Jason was 25. And, it was kind of that stroke of luck there, because Bury Your Dead just wrote these amazing songs, and it was like, it wasn't what we were used to with a lot of the metal guys that came in writing songs they couldn't play.
Yeah.
Like Bury Your Dead was like, it wasn't brain surgery music, but they were players, man, especially Mark Castillo. I mean, God, his drumming was insane. And that record, I mean, dude, that was how we ended up with Devil Driver. That was how we ended up with Black Dahlia Murder. Like all those guys heard that Beauty and the Breakdown record and were like, oh, we're going there, you know. And then the younger kids wanted to come to us because Jason had done Ascendancy, and then we did the Crusade, and then, you know, it all snowballed. And by 2007, Jason more or less fired me and said, you know, you're too busy on your own, so you can have my studio. You're going to pay me rent, and I'm going to go in the house and build my own studio. And then for 12 years, I rented Audio Hammer from him, and he had his own space. And then 2017, I moved here to Nashville.
Wow, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was scary because I remember we had gone over. It was like Christmas break, maybe 2007 or something. So I had been working for him for a year, and I was living at the studio. And I remember rolling up in my car, and he was like in the driveway, and he's like, "What's up, dude?" And I'm like, "Hey," you know. And he just when he has something on his mind, he can't make small talk. He was just like, "Hey, man, I'm not gonna pay you anymore, and you're gonna pay me rent." And I'm like, "Okay," like fuck. And he's like, "You're gonna be fine, though. You're gonna be fine. It'll be fine." He was right. It was like, started paying him rent, you know, he's like, "You can have the old studio. I'm building one in the house. You know, go fuck yourself," type thing.
So before Brian rattles off a million questions, I have a couple first. So obviously you started as a guitarist, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of go through this as well. I want to kind of see if you go through the same thing. So when you're in like guitar playing, but I know you're super busy now, so you probably don't play as much as you'd like to, right?
Oh, I'm terrible now. It's bad.
That's what I was going to say. So how do you balance? Because whenever I work on a project, my brain is 100% in it, and I barely even think about touching guitar. But then it's the opposite. Like all of a sudden, if I'm done with a project, it's balls deep on guitar. So how do you balance that as far as being a guitarist and then engineer? There's
no balance. I haven't put any time into guitar, and since probably about the time I moved out of Sukoff's house.
Wow.
And that was when I was I was the best. It was the best I ever played. And my chops stuck around pretty good for a while. Because I was, you know, like playing solos on like some of the Devil Driver stuff, and then Whitechapel and Carnifex and things like that. And maybe some of the Autumn, I can't remember. There's a lot of records I played solos on, but I never asked for credit, you know, because it was just kind of like I did it and whatever. And then, man, I just really let it all go. I mean, I still like, the one thing I do the most is bend notes for bands.
Really?
They can't bend notes in tune, or their vibrato's bad. And that's the one thing that I've never lost. You know, it's like you have to get that sweet dad note, the wee, you know, with the slick wrist, you know, and a lot of guys can't do that. So, or I'll play melodies or something like that, but and occasionally write a riff, and then I'll have to sit there for 2 hours while I make it perfect. But yeah, I mean, there's no balance for me anymore. And you know what? And maybe if I didn't go to the gym or whatever, I could put time into it. But it's like the last thing I want to do when I'm working 8, 10, 12 hours a day is, you know.
Well, and we all know how much time it takes to
go to the gym.
To
go to the gym. Yeah.
Be proficient at guitar. It's not like you can just pick it up for 10 minutes every couple of days and be like, oh, that's fine. No, you lose it, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, like, and I should be more on top of it. Like Emil Wurzler, he lives with me here. And he's one of the best, like, on fucking planet Earth. Like, the guy's a maniac, and he's one of the best teachers. But I don't know. All the time, I'm like, I should practice more. You know?
Yeah. And then you just end up noodling or something, and it's like, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, no balance.
Yeah.
So Mark, when Jay reached out to you, what did you think of the record initially when he was like, "Hey, please mix this"?
Oh shit.
Well, when I heard this stuff, I was like, wow, this is really good. And that's why I was like, I have to do this. Like, when they reached out at first, and he's like, hey, I'm thinking about having you mix the record. And I was like, all right, cool. Send me some stuff. And hold on, I forgot to turn one of my amps off and see if you're making noise. Yeah, but I was like, all right, whatever, send it over. And I was like, we'll see. Like, seriously, I knew you guys had been doing the record for a long time, and I didn't think it was going to suck, but I definitely was like, you always take everybody that reaches out, especially if they're not signed, with a grain of salt, because you're just like, are they actually going to be done? And you send me the shit, and I'm like, oh, all right, this is sick. So, yeah, I immediately wanted to do it. It was one of those things where I'm like, I felt so strongly about the music that I was like, you pay me $5 and I would do this. And then obviously it was, obviously it wasn't $5, but it was one of those things I wanted to be a part of.
Right.
Well, it was kind of cool for me too. I mean, obviously the plan was for me to mix it from the day that we started recording, but even before we started recording anything. Yeah. But, I had to put my ego aside.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to in a few, because I know Brian wants to know. He wants the story of like how I went from relinquishing mixing duties to you. But I remember when, your name came up, which you were the first name, obviously, in my mind. But I thought it was cool. I was like, shit, Mark, we were together on Ozfest. We've always, kept in touch here and there, since then. We've always been cool. And obviously everybody in the band, likes your work and thinks you're do a really good job. So I thought it was cool. I was like, it's almost like a full circle thing. Like, Mark, from Ozfest, and now he's the one doing our record, which is cool as hell.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was good, and it was well engineered, and the only thing that sucked was you guys' mix notes, but other than that, it was fine. No, it was good though. I mean, I get it. Everything that we did was fine. There was some things where I'm like, we're doing this again, but
I know.
As far as the tones, I mean, there wasn't a lot of back and forth there. You're like, yeah, it's great, and except maybe I loved that you guys wanted the record to sound like the tracks that you laid down. You weren't like re-engineer this thing for me, because I hate that about mixers, and I hate that when I have to do that. I mean, there's a lot of times when I do have to do that because I get shit tracks, but the goal is to always make the band sound like the band.
Right.
Well, that's a great point, because I know that I almost look at it two ways. There's certain engineers where you hear their work and you hear an album and you're like, oh, that sounds like a so-and-so mix or something like that. But that's cool on one hand for the engineer, for the mixer, but on the other hand, like, you're not letting the band sound like them. You're letting them sound like you. You know, so that's what I like about your mixes as well, is they all sound different. Obviously sonically they're awesome, but they all sound different, and the band comes through, and that's how I think it should be.
Yeah, I try to make it that way. I mean, some people tell me that there's always things they can pick out about my mixes, and I guess that there's decisions that I make that are similar. But it's like I like, if it's tracked well, why am I going to cover it up? And make it sound like something that it's not, or something that it just seems like a cop out to me. And that's maybe that's harsh words, because a lot of guys have really notable sounds, and they're amazing mixers. But to me, it's like, I wonder, what did those tracks really sound like? But sometimes the mixer's signature sound is great.
Yeah, no, I know, and they are what they are for a reason,
Yeah.
So, man.
So, Jay, when you were working on the album, and I know the story, I'm pretty involved with it. I remember getting some phone calls and you being frustrated. Do you want to talk about why you stopped mixing it and reached out to Mark?
Well, I obviously was involved since before day one, but when it got to the point of mixing the record, and I had been messing around with mixes even before, like Bjorn sent his vocals back to us and stuff. And, I was second guessing everything that I was doing. And then I'd get a text or a call from somebody in the band, like, hey, can you change this? Or then I'm getting a call from somebody else in the band saying, oh, well, can you change this too? And next thing you know, I'm getting pulled in like 3 different directions plus myself. And it just got to the point where I was like, I'm not going to, this thing is, it's starting to sound worse because, you know, Mark, you know this, you make one move in one EQ move on something.
Yes.
And it affects everything. There's only a certain amount of like sonic real estate in the spectrum. And
yes. The box is only so big, and that's you know, that's a problem that a lot of people don't understand, or mixers really, they make too much room in the box and neuter shit and make it small sounding so they can have everything be clear. It's like you got to find that. Yeah, no, I get it. You can drive yourself crazy, especially when you're that attached to a project. You know, if you're producing it and engineering it and writing it, it's like, man, it's hard to keep the perspective. And then, you know, sometimes, you know, in order for you to get that mix done, you probably would have had to take a year away from the record and not heard it, you know?
Yeah,
come back to it fresh, you know, because it's, and I mean, even when I'm mixing records and it's like 3 days, you know, I need to take the weekend off and come back, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't even, where are the overheads? Like, I didn't even have the overheads in this fucking mix. Like, I'm an idiot, you know, like, or something like that, you know, and you know,
yeah.
And when you're constantly hammering away, you got to take those breaks, you know.
Well, and that's an honest mistake sometimes too. I mean, you know that. I mean, I think when we sent you the sessions, I want to say there was like 20 something drum tracks, man. If I remember correctly, like the splashes were mic'd individually.
Yeah.
The China, the ozone crash, and Jimmy's in the chat. He says, if Mark were to shave one leg, which one would it be?
Yeah. Yeah, you got to ask Travis that.
Yeah, I guess we do.
Yeah.
That's an Ozfest story for another day, but no, it you know, like I remember you actually texted me one night and you're like, dude, you need to consolidate some of this shit because it's like
it was the vocals, not the drums. See, the drums I'm used to that. Like I'll have 30 tracks. Some, you know, I've had up to 40 channels of drums before, but it was the vocals that were like, Jesus, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, and I did say you got to consolidate some of this because it could have been, there was a lot of things that didn't need to be on separate tracks and things like that, you know. So.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Plus with two singers as well, because you know, obviously Bjorn, you know, did the majority of everything, but the choruses with both, you know, Mike and Bjorn, and then there was parts with both of them singing at the same time, and so it's like, wait a minute, there's 10 tracks of Bjorn for this chorus and 8 for Mike. Like, what do I do with this?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, there would be. It was tough. There was a lot of it was just a lot of track management. I mean, that mix was not beginner shit, man. Like that was tough. And it was, you know, something that you really, yeah, you'll lose your tail with that mix. And, you know, I could see easily how somebody could get burnt on that record, you know, if it is something you had spent a lot of time with already.
Yeah.
Dude, you fucking lose your tail in that shit because there's so much going on, you know, and then you have everything sounding killer, and then you have, you know, 16 tracks of fucking vocal harmonies on the chorus, and you're like, well, fuck. Now, in order to get these vocals loud enough, the whole mix sounds buried, and you're automating the shit out of everything, and, you know, it's, you know.
Well, the one thing I will say, and the band had this talk literally after like the first couple mixes came back with like, especially, I think it actually might be our next single, but the song Turn to Dust. There's an outro chorus, and I have a guitar lead that goes along with it. And there's so much stuff going on with it, and everything has a space, and you can hear everything cut through. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Because I was afraid that, you know, man, there's no way my guitar is going to come through on this last part. And I don't want a guitar lead to overpower the vocal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to get too anal with everybody in the chat, but I mean, it was one of those times where I listened to it and I was like, shit, he found a spot for everything is coming through. And I was pretty impressed, man. It was awesome. So,
well, good. Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. Cause dude, and it's always like that. I mean, it's, you know, that last chorus, dude, you know, like when I'm producing a record and then I go to mix it, or if there's somebody else mixing or something, it's like, oh, that last chorus got you know, like, because the whole mix falls apart.
Yeah.
And it's because, you know, it's the third chorus, and we got to add more harmonies and another guitar lead, and then double the length of it, and then more guitars, and you're like, holy shit, you know.
Yeah. So, where am I going to find? Oh man.
Yeah, where am I going to find the room for all this? But it's all automation, man. You know, it really is. You just got to put the time in to do it, because, you know, if you end up starting to EQ everything, you know, too much, then it just all kind of turns to tininess, you know. So,
gotcha. Well, the best part of the mix to me, and I was talking to Jay earlier about it, is the guitar tone. It's the it's fantastic. Even the demos and the rough mixes initially, the guitar tone was amazing. So when you received it, I was like, all right, hopefully don't mess with the guitar tone. You didn't. You did a great job on it. It wasn't compressed. It wasn't muddled. It's perfect.
It breathes. It breathes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good playing too. So I mean, that's a big part of it. Yeah, there you go. Can't believe it. A basswood guitar. I like how it sounded. But is that one of the real old ones, or is it a newer one?
That's a 91, man.
It's a 91. Yeah, I had one of those.
Look how thin that friggin' neck is, dude.
Yeah, Sukov had 3 of them.
What?
Yeah, he has 3 of them. I might only have 2 now, but I had one, so there was 4 at the house at one point.
Jesus.
And he had 2, one in particular that was amazing. Mine was just a pile of shit. It was terrible.
Really?
Yeah, so I sold it for $600. That's how much that guitar was worth in 2005 or whatever.
Wow.
And I don't know what they're worth now. What are they worth now?
If you find one in decent condition, like a 91 or a 92, they can go for above like upwards about $2,000, maybe even a little more.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think they're worth that.
This one is, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, some of them are good.
This one has the mojo.
Yeah. No, and you know, in those guitars' defense, Sukov had one that had the mojo. Mine did not. That was now the only Ibanez I have is the 1077, which is a great guitar. Mm-hmm. But I ended up reamping the guitars now that we got off track. But I used an old Rev F dual rectifier from 93 rectifier, just sitting over there, and an angle cabinet with Celestion Creamback 65. So you got to shout out to Celestion because they're so great to me. I have like 18 million 412. Actually, I have like probably 14 412s.
Jesus.
And they all have, it's either 12 or 14. I have a lot now. And they all have Celestions in them. And they always supply me with good stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and that speaker is the one. Like, I'm surprised it's not more popular than it is, because everybody's on the 30s. Everybody's on 30s forever. And that speaker is unbelievable, especially for the, you know, what you guys do, where you want that clarity, but you want the low end and it was great. I used it on that last Havoc record I did too, that same cabinet. Mm-hmm. And you know, doesn't sound the same, you know, but that speaker, man, I mean, bands always pick it. Like I'll you know, we'll mic up their cab, my cab, and people always pick it over 30s now. It's interesting.
Great. So now I got to buy something else.
Just some of those. Do you have any? I mean, you have 412s?
I just have. You can't see it. It's the Mesa 412 back there, but that's got the vintage 30s, right?
Dude, you know what you should do. I mean, and shout out to EVH. Get one of their 412s and put 30s and creambacks in it. Not to take a dump on their greenbacks or whatever. They put a greenback in that 412, but it's not what we need for the you know stuff. And put some 30s and some creambacks in it, because it sounds just like a vintage Marshall cab, dude. That's what they did. The thing is a vintage Marshall, and that cabinet, dude, it'll change your world, man. Like, telling you, the cabinet's amazing.
Yeah, my Jeannie's in the chat. My wife with the happy face, or the money face with the green tongue. There it is. Yeah.
There you go. No, dude, hit up EVH. You know, maybe you'll get one cheap. You never know. Maybe they'll just send you one for being on Johnny Beane TV.
That'd be nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Barf Clibbins, Jay, before you go any further, on this album, Mega Collide, what is your favorite thing? What's something that stuck out to you that you really liked, or what Gizmachi does that you really enjoy?
Man, I really like Jimmy's drumming on the record. It's just tasty. Tasty for that. What do they even call you guys up there? I mean, Jimmy's like just the ultimate New Yorker. It's like you almost want to call him a New York redneck.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. Like what is somebody that's truly upstate New York? I mean, that is Jimmy.
What does that have to do with your drumming?
For you guys, you don't get enough shit.
Oh, I know we don't. Well, especially Jimmy. Well, the thing about Jimmy's drumming on this album is that when we recorded, it was only one of the days Mike Ball stopped by for a while in the studio, but it was just me and Jimmy for the most part.
Yeah.
And there was one day where I thought it was going to come to blows, man.
Yeah. Was you and Jimmy?
Me and Jimmy, yeah.
That'd be an ass whooping right there.
Oh, I would have been thrown out the studio. But no, it was the long clean section in Inner Visions is the song title. I don't even think we had song titles when Mark mixed the record. I think we got that afterwards.
Yeah.
But the huge long clean section, and Jimmy, and I hope he's still in the chat, he was just throwing in these monster, technical fills during this long clean, slow clean part. And I remember hitting Jimmy, what do you want me to just do? Doing all that shit. So he starts being an a-hole in the drum room, in the live room. He starts playing these, 80s drum fills, and I'm like, just giving him the look, like, dude.
Yes.
This shit ain't free in here right now.
Right.
Yeah, so he was pissed, man. But, I feel like we reined him in a little bit, but he still has the pizzazz that Jimmy's known for. So
I didn't know Jimmy was known for pizzazz, but now I do.
In his pants.
It's true.
Now he's that's not technically all the way true, he says. Well, it's somewhat true. It's my truth, Jimmy. You got to deal with it.
Yeah.
So
let
me take Brian's question a step further.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's been a while now, but was there a part when you fired up a track where you're like, now all of a sudden a part comes on, you're like, oh shit, that was pretty cool? Or was there a part that the exact opposite? Like, why did they do that?
Nah, there was none of those parts. No, the record was just it was all well done, but there's a lot of really good, breakdown kind of song peak moments that are really good. You do your Gizmachi thing with the hand on the tremolo thing,
the bridge bending.
The meow, that type of stuff, and a lot of good breakdown riffs. Just a lot of good stuff, man. I mean, nothing was shitty. I just really hope that people get this record, and people listen to it, Yeah,
I hope so too.
No, definitely. Me too. Mark, with the bridge bending, since you brought it up, and you've worked with a lot of amazing bands, which we'll get to, but I've never seen anyone else do it. So when Jay taught me how to do it, it's one, it's cool, and two, it's harder than you think. But have you seen anyone else do that or even discuss it? Like, hey, you see that band is pulling on the bridge, like anything like that?
Nope. They've been doing it for a long time, and the funny thing is like, I don't know, Gizmachi would be like to me, almost what do you want to call it? The Sam Black Church of the I don't want to say gent, because when you guys were doing it, it wasn't gent, it wasn't called that then, but like Sam Black Church was everybody's hero up in Massachusetts and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they were the hardcore heroes that nobody's ever heard of outside of outside of Mass.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that name in forever.
Yeah. And you guys were, up there in wherever you're at, Orange County, upstate New York. And you were just you were just a superior band. And, for whatever reason, you did your one record, you went away, and the people that remember your record love your record. And other people are like, I had no idea this band even existed and was flying this flag before it became the cool thing to do. And you guys weren't, you were kind of majorly influenced, by the early years of Meshuggah, and then you had a little bit of the, I wouldn't say new metal thing, but there was a lot more.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, there was the new metal stuff, but then there was real playing and all that stuff, and that's the cool thing. It's like, I just hope maybe it'll make people go back and say, wow, there was people doing this, before the Peripheries and the what's that English band that does it too. And, I can't keep track of them all because now it's just
overloaded.
It's Instagram, and nothing wrong with it. If these guys are making money and making a living, then by all means, do your art, do your thing. But it's you guys were doing it, I think, before people were ready for it, and I guess, even at the time you were doing it, Meshuggah wasn't nearly as big as they are now,
Yeah.
To take that influence and, fly it the way you did and then kind of mix it up the way you did, I guess, if that's making sense,
No, and you're right. I mean, it's cool, because everybody has their own opinion about their own music and about what they do. And they think it sounds a certain way, but the way you explain it, it's almost like, it's funny. I was talking to Jimmy a couple weeks ago, and I had on None from Meshuggah, which the EP before Destroy, Erase, Improve.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite thing they've ever done. Well, that and Destroy, Erase, Improve.
Yeah. And I was listening, I just had it on. I was like, holy shit, we're influenced by this record. Like,
yeah. I mean, even the guitar tones almost, just the way you play and everything like that. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely, man. And there's not enough bands that are influenced by that, because it's, and here's a shot to take. It's a lot fucking harder to play it's a lot harder to cop than the newer style Meshuggah. Meshuggah is the best at that. They're new. They've evolved into the kind of the 8-string thing, and now they're getting back into playing 6 strings again. So these kids got to go out to 6 strings now. Yeah.
Whoa! Hold
Wait a minute. Stop the
Isn't there 6 strings on the new record, on the newest one?
I don't know.
No.
Higher stuff? No.
I thought they were going back to the 7s. I don't know.
Maybe that's what it's just higher. It's not 8-string centric anymore. And I just feel like it's a lot harder to cop 90s Meshuggah than it is to shittily cop newer Meshuggah. Meshuggah is not saying that the new stuff is easy to play from them, but the rip off people,
the single note 8-string riff.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to appropriate, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody does it like them. And the funny thing is like those dudes are, I'm always waiting for them to do their next thing. Like they've become friends over the years because of my work with Tune Track and stuff like that. And just hanging out with them, like, that they know that they're the kings.
Yeah.
And it's the amazing thing about it. Like they don't, they like to mess with people as much as like Metallica or somebody that's that important to that style does. And they're like, well, we do this the best and we know it. And now, you guys are trying to be us 20 years ago and we're already on to this,
mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Well, I hope they go back to 20 years ago. That would be awesome.
I just think every record is great, and the last 2 have been really great. And the thing that really, really gets me about them now is that they have gone so organic. The last record in particular that they did with 2, and it's all real drums and real amps, and it just sounds so like a band playing in a room. And all these gent kids are left in their bedroom with their dick in their hand, like, we can't do this at all. And it's because it's and you could have, because kids who made less money and had nothing growing up in the 80s and 90s figured out how to get amps and guitars and drums, and then they got in the garage and they played, and they didn't go, oh well, I don't have enough money to make a record, and you would figure it out, and you would make a record with your terrible amp, like At the Gates and Meshuggah and all those guys that made records with extremely compromised gear, and then ended up with sounds of their own.
Yeah.
They're not buying, I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but they're not buying producers' presets, and they're not buying all that shit, man. It's like they were like, all we have is this Marshall valve estate and this homemade cabinet or this PVTM in an HM2, and it sounds like crap. But our riffs are killer enough that it sounds great anyway, and now here we are with so much less innovation now because everything's so homogenized.
Yeah. Well, the last two Meshuggah albums, I know a lot of people don't like them as much as some of the earlier stuff. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're really good and they sound great sonically. They're amazing, but like what you're saying, they're changing. I think it's time for them to evolve a little more because a lot of their stuff is single note eight string. You can't do much with it, right? I think you're limited with another string, honestly. Yeah. But it's also a lot of like the tempos throughout the songs on the last two albums are pretty similar. So hopefully the next album, whatever they do, changes a little more.
That's kind of been their thing, though. Like, Nothing. I think the whole album was about one tempo. Yeah. They kind of get in their groove and they do it, and then they kind of, right. So I think they'll evolve, and I don't know. I think just the world of those dudes, and I think they're so brilliant. Whether it's with Frederick or not or whatever, they're all just visionaries, and they know that they have a responsibility to make a great record.
And imagine being a band that has literally has their own unique sound. Like all you got to hear is a half a second.
Yeah.
Of a Meshuggah record, and it's them.
Yeah,
without hearing any kind of.
Yeah, no, it's exactly. I mean, but name a big band right now that isn't like that, because it's Lamb of God when you hear it, Gojira when you hear it, Mastodon when you hear it, and then there's everybody else that's opening for them and whatever. And I'm not saying there's plenty of guys I left out that you can sure. Figure out who they are by hearing them, but there's just. That's the thing, man, is like all the biggest bands sound like themselves.
Right. Well, speaking of what you just said, Gojira, totally off topic. Did you hear the new song?
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think Andy Wallace is brilliant. And kids were complaining about the mix, and I didn't know it was Wallace, but I could tell it was probably Andy. And the first single they put out before this, I wasn't so big on it. I was like, maybe the engineering, like, 'cause that's the thing about Andy is like, he's only going to mix what you give him. He's not going to re-engineer your tracks for you. So I'm like, maybe the engineering wasn't so great. And then this one I heard and I'm like, whoa, this sounds awesome. And it sounds like this record could have been made in 1995. It doesn't sound like, well, this record was definitely made in 2020 because you know what I mean? Like, it just, it's timeless. And that's what people are missing.
What about, what's the name of that one record? Oh my God.
What band?
Gojira. It's
Flesh of All Flesh.
Yes. Who the hell? Who mixed that record? Because that, to me, that should be their signature sound.
That was Logan Mader, actually.
Oh my God.
And Logan did an amazing job on that. But I mean, it's perfect sounding for them. I agree.
Yeah, I love the sound of that record.
Yeah, Vacuity. When that song comes on, like, just gives me the feels. That's such a good song. That's a great album.
I remember trying to, and this is a while ago. I remember trying to use that whatever song it is that I forget the name of it. I'm terrible with names of songs nowadays in the whole streaming world nowadays. I don't look at the backs of album covers anymore. Oh, what song's this? What song's this? But I tried using one of their songs from that record as a reference track in a mix, and it didn't take me long to say, I got to get this fucking thing out of here because there's no way I'm going to get anything. It's just like it's apples and oranges. Like, I can't. You know?
I mean, I used to play that game and reference stuff, and oof, that'll make you miserable real fast.
Yeah, because I mean, you can't get a different amp to sound like something, and your ears just start fooling you. You're like, wait a minute.
You can't get the same amp in the same cabinet to sound like the same amp in the same cabinet. Like all my amps are, or a bunch of my cabinets are mic'd up outside. And if I went and tore all the cabs down and then put everything back up exactly the way it was, it would never sound the same.
Yep.
It doesn't ever sound the same. You're just like, all right, we're gonna get this guitar sound for this record, and we're gonna, you embrace what you have,
I'm just scrolling through real quick, but I'm trying to find a couple questions because the chat's rolling. We got over 60 people watching just on Facebook. Jesus Christ, on YouTube. But all right, so when a band comes to you to either produce, let's start with that, produce and engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is your as far as whether you're doing pre-production or just having the band in and just producing what they have, like, how do you kind of start that whole ball rolling with, you just listen to the tracks and then you kind of go from there? Or what do you kind of, how do you start
the demos? There's got to be demos of some sort, or and if there's not completed demos and we got to start putting songs together, it's, you kind of let the material tell you what it needs. And then, we discuss it, I try to start envisioning, the pitch of the drums, like how high is the snare going to be tuned on this record? Does it need multiple snares? Does it need, what type of guitar sound do we need? Do we need multiple guitar sounds? What is this going to be, a P bass record? Or is this going to be a Spectre record, for the bass? Or, it's just all those things that run through my mind. Yeah. You just kind of just listen to the record and say, what do we think this needs? I try not to use the same thing every time, and you have to kind of, just let the material tell you what it needs, I guess, if that makes sense.
So is there anything off the top of your head from producing a band where they came in with their songs and you're hearing a song and you're like, oh shit, all right, this one, maybe the chorus is good, but the rest of the song kind of sucks, or the song's great and the vocal melody is just complete shit, and you're like, all right, I mean, I know you're a very open dude, which is one of the reasons why you're successful at what you do. But I mean, I know from writing songs that you're in love with and you think like, oh, I spent a lot of time on this. Next thing you know, some guy that just heard it's telling you, well, we have to kind of rework this song because it's not good enough or something. Like, do you kind of kid gloves it, or do you just like tell them, no, this is shit, we gotta change it?
No, I'm more and more of an asshole as I get older too. But no, it's the thing about being a producer. It's like, I guess, maybe the number one, the stature of the band, or not the stature of the band. Sorry, the band's personalities, will kind of dictate how maybe I speak to them a little bit. But I don't care if you're Metallica or you're,
Gizmachi.
I'm going to tell you something sucks. But yeah, it's always like, I try to, as a producer, you have to realize that, you are hired to make everything better. But if the band doesn't agree, the band doesn't agree. That's all you can do. You can't throw a fit, and but all you can do is say, guys, I really think you should do this. And that's it. But yeah, of course. I mean, there's times when something is just terrible, and I got to be like, no, this is not working at all. And then I would like to think that 90-something% of the time I'm right, because we usually do explore those ideas, and the band almost always wants to explore it. And if we can't find something better, I'm the first to admit, so this is as good as it's going to get. Or sometimes I'm burnt and we try something else, and I'm like, we better stop for the night. We go back the next day and I hear what they had, and I'm like, you know what, this is good. Let's roll with this, Or sometimes we come back the next day and we have the right idea, and it's like, oh, this is what we need right now. Like on the last Whitechapel, like there was a song that had started out. It was almost kind of very soil worky sounding for them. And it was like, I knew it was too European sounding. And it started out with just like a back up, beat, like kick snare, and it just felt kind of mild and whatever. And we were discussing it. And like one night, Zach and I were just kind of hanging out because we did the whole record at his house except for the drums. And he was listening to the riff, and I said, why hadn't I think of this? I was like, this song needs to start with a blast. And then, we were still doing demos and he programmed the blast. And then all of a sudden the song is just like alive. And, like it, just things like that. I mean, it's not, this is not brain surgery. Like I'm not I wouldn't say I'm a brilliant person, but it's the fact that the band, the 5 guys had heard the song for a year and they were stumped. And then I am the voice of reason, and that's what a producer's supposed to do.
Yeah, and it's a set of fresh ears that are from the outside, kind of listening to it from a different perspective, and be like, well, "Wait a minute, why don't you do?" Yeah,
And then we did that, and then Zach went and worked on the song for a while, and I would poke my head in and say, "Oh, we need to do this here, and then it took 3 nights over the course of a week or 10 days or so, and then finally the song came together and it was done, and it's a really cool tune. I mean, is it the hit of the record? No, but it was needed. For the record, things like that all the time, or whether it's, or cutting a chorus in half or just changing the note at the end of the second chorus to go into the bridge, like, and then changing the note back at the third chorus, whatever, it's shit like that. It's just like, you have to be aware of that stuff. And it's not stuff that you always do, but it's, stuff that comes to mind when I think of things that I'm responsible for. Like I'm not writing records, for bands. I mean, there is producers that do that, but, and I do write with bands. But I think producers sometimes are made out to be these people that magically, make bands suck or make bands great. Like Bob
like
Rock,
a Mutt Lange or something.
Yeah, like a Mutt Lange or Bob Rock is blamed for Metallica selling out. It's like, no, dude, those songs were those songs before Bob got a hold of them. Bob just made them incredible.
Yeah,
you like
you heard the demos, right?
Like Bob was like, you know what? I think you guys should write a hit, and it's going to go like this. It's like, no, he was like, he helped with the arrangements, and he made Hetfield sound like a god vocally, and they sold more records than anybody ever, and then people are like, oh, Bob Rock ruined Metallica. It's like, no, he didn't. He made them the biggest band in the world. And they wrote the songs, not Bob.
You've heard the demos, right, for those?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't want to get into a Metallica thing here. I mean, I do, but Sad But True, the demo for Sad But True, if that song was that tempo on the record, it would have been a shit song.
Yeah, of course.
Like there was Bob, I think had a lot to do with the tempos of all the songs. Like, he makes it, and this as a producer, like there's a fine line between, a certain riff. If it's too fast, it loses the groove and it loses the impact, and it makes it can almost make it cheesy.
Yeah, of course.
If you pull it back, it has that, like think of that riff fast. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. So. Yep. Yeah.
So, Mark, I'm sorry. You've worked with a lot of amazing bands and a lot of great albums. Like that last Whitechapel album is really good. Is there an album that you've worked on from the beginning when you first heard it to how it ended that you're really proud of? Or like, do you have a signature album or 3 that you can, if someone didn't know your work, you'd be like, this is what I worked on?
Ooh,
that's tough. I mean, there's a lot of them I'm really proud of, man. It's hard to say, dude.
Well, besides the new Gizmachi, of course. But what else?
Yeah. No, I mean, the last Chapel was great. The new one's amazing. I think it's better. It's it's going to be out probably early next year, I would hope, or maybe late this year. And it's incredible. It's the next step for them songwriting wise. Man, I mean, I'll always love the fact that I remixed that Megadeth record. That was such an amazing experience. If I go way back early, like Black Dahlia Nocturnal or Beauty and the Breakdown by Bury Your Dead, and then, man, they got a lot of shit for it, but that last Fallujah record was really awesome. I mean, I don't, the critics really got hard on them on it, but I thought it was incredible.
What about that Cold Chamber album? How was it?
That was fun. And it came out really good, and
the drum sound.
Sonically, I like that one.
Yeah, sonically, it's killer, man.
But that's their first album back in what, 13, 14 years and you got to work on it. Like how was that?
So that was cool. I mean, it was because of my relationship with Dez in their management, and I loved it. I had a great time, and it was like, it was like what I would like. It's what I love about the record making process was really magnified in that because they jam together as a band. Like we holed up in a rehearsal studio in North Hollywood for 2 weeks, and we went through every riff in their fucking iTunes, and we started jamming. And I was just sitting in the room with Meegs and Mikey and Nadia, and Dez would hang out some days, and I would say, well, let's check out this riff. And the guys had some songs completed, but like there was, times they'd just be jamming and something would come together. And there's a song on that record. I'm trying to remember. I think it's the second song, but they just couldn't get the chorus right, but the riff was good. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to remember what Mikey was playing, but I just told him, like, dude, just do the disco beat, like, and I'm trying to remember the name of that song. And
what drummer likes hearing that?
What's that?
What drummer likes hearing? Just do the disco beat. Oh,
yeah, but then Mikey was like, this beat, and then he played it with Meegs, and they're like, oh shit, that's awesome. And Dez was like, wait a minute, and things like that. Like they were jamming as a band. That's nothing that anybody would have ever programmed.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was those things, man. And like, that's why I love doing that, because they made that record like that. Or like God Forbid used to do that too. Like they would actually play their songs together. And so many modern metal bands don't do that. But they still make great records.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, gosh, there's just so many records, and I feel like I'm leaving out. I mean, damn, man, it's a lot now, dude. I mean, we're almost 17 years in.
That's amazing.
So
I have a few questions. People are texting.
Before we get to the questions, we got to do a was a station identification thing.
Station ID. Go ahead.
I didn't even do a roll call, but that's fine. Everybody in the chat, thanks for watching. That's the roll. Everybody give a thumbs up, follow the channel, like and subscribe. Johnny appreciates everything.
Follow Bartgok.
Yeah, Bartgok.
Follow Bartgok. So this will go up on the channel. Everybody can watch this later.
Oh yeah. It's forever.
Good. Yep. Yeah. Because you know what the funny thing is like nobody in my family knows I cut my hair off yet.
Well, I didn't know. Well, yeah, I'm not in your family, but yeah.
Well, nobody knows really, because I don't leave the house. I'm not, like I go to the gym and go to the grocery store so I can get food. And so it's like my mom flies in tomorrow, and she doesn't know that I don't have hair down to my ass anymore.
She's gonna be pumped, isn't she?
She's gonna be pumped. She's gonna be like, "Oh, son, you're so handsome."
Yep.
And I've had 3 separate messages about your haircut. Looks
What's
good.
that?
I've had 3 separate people message about your haircut and how good it looks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Give them my number. It's 415-952-3263.
They're all dudes, so that's no problem. So
all right.
I have a question from my man Robot Master Switch. And he said, Mark, good evening. My name is Robot. How would Mark approach odd vocal styles like Knocked Loose, Horse Scream versus Whitechapel's Growl?
It doesn't seem, it does not an obstacle, I guess. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. I mean, most of those guys want to use dynamic mics, so it's something they want to hold when they're screaming like that. So I'll probably give them an SM7, or I've used like a Biodynamic M88 or a Sennheiser 441. Yeah, or anything like dynamic, like even sometimes exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'll just give them the mic to hold, or if they want to sing into a condenser, then we'll shoot them all out. But really, with the screamers, man, like they got to be comfortable, and I usually have them in the room with me, next to me, and we have headphones on. I don't put them in a booth, and that's it. Singers have to be comfortable because they are divas, and whether they admit it or not, the vibe has to be right. If the vibe isn't right, that's the one thing you're not going to nail is the vocals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my aunt just texted and said your hair does look great. So
thanks. Can anybody even see it? We got this black, and it's a mohawk too. See, look.
There you go.
Oh yeah, got a little redneck mohawk going on here.
Let's get into your product that you use. No, I'm just joking. Jay, would you have another question? Anything you want to talk about?
Mean, I could pick Mark's brain for years, but I mean, I know him on the phone enough, so he probably doesn't want to hear my voice too much right now. Mike Balls said he cut his hair like Schwarzenegger, and then he says, "What cabinet did he use on the record?" If you were watching the show, he told you what cabinet we used.
Come on, Balls.
Come on, Balls. What are you doing? Jesus Christ. He didn't use a cab. He just plugged it right into his
I use an angle cabinet, angle 412. It's got the Celestion Creamback 65s in it, which we were talking about earlier. And your leads?
Yeah, that's right. We never even discussed that.
The leads, I don't remember what I used. I used did I use a Mesa cabinet for the leads? I don't know.
Is that all you changed? Was the cab for the leads? You left the amp was the same and everything like that? You just changed the cab, or you use different amp too?
No, I use different amp.
Well, now I got to buy that amp.
I don't remember what amp I used. It was probably either my modded 800 or I might have had a Bogner Ecstasy here at the time. I don't remember. Or maybe it was my Diesel Herbert, or
it was something.
The world will never know.
Well, speaking of Jay's annoyance, and I say that with all due respect and love, Jay, you know how that. But Jay is the most picky human being I've ever dealt with, I've ever met. So in regards to sending back mixes to Jay, how often did you want to slap him in the face?
Pretty often, because we would do stuff and then it would be done and he'd be like, "Oh, it's awesome." And then the record would be mastered for 3 months, and he'd be like, "Hey, can we go back and turn that lead down?" And I was like, "Jesus, dude." Or it would be done and it would be put to bed, and then he'd want to change it again, even before the mastering. It was just a lot of very minute changes that most people would never hear. But if they're happy, then cool. But I remember what we got into an argument pretty bad about the bass or something. I don't remember what it was.
No, it was I think it was over the song Winter, and we don't have to get into the details, but I thought there was one that I was like, if I was in front of Mark, he would probably choke me right now. And even Jimmy called me. He's like, "Dude, I know you and Mark are cool, but I think you better watch."
I don't see.
Yeah, I think he's going to kill me.
With me, man, is like, I am so bad at remembering conversations and things that people said or.
Well, that's a good thing then. Right now, that's a good thing right now because
Well, because people will be like, "Remember when we were making this record and you yelled at Kyle Bass Penis about his thing sucking so bad?" And I'm like, "No, I don't remember that at all." They're like, "Dude, you freaking yelled at him and told him his shit sucked," and everybody was like, "Oh, it was the best thing ever." And I'm like, "I don't remember that at all, dude." Like,
well, I know that night, like after we texted back and forth between the text thread with me, you, and Jimmy, you said you responded with something, and I actually tried to call you to like say, "Hey, I know it looked like I was being an asshole," which I kind of was, but I was basically calling to apologize.
Yeah,
and you didn't answer, and I was like, "Oh shit, he's not answering now." But it ended up all good, man. We're good.
Yeah, here we are.
That's right. Had to pay you extra to be on here tonight.
Yeah.
So there's another question for you, Mark. You ready?
Yeah.
From we got this troll in here. Her name's Gensilla. She was asking, "Tell us about your gym workouts." She wants to know.
Man. Right now I'm doing some Lane Norton thing. Shout out to Lane Norton. Actually, you know why I got hooked up was because Chris Spacuzza from Chimera is, since Chimera has long been disbanded, he is a IT guy and web guy and like all things tech. And he builds Lane's website and apps And I didn't realize that. And we got to talking about the gym. And he's like, I build Lane's website. I'm like, oh, dude. And so he like hooked me up. And anyway, that's the workout I'm doing right now. It's like some crazy kind of like semi powerlifting / bodybuilding thing. And it's really, really fucking hard. And it sucks. But I get to eat 4,000 calories a day. So 4,100 calories a day. But I mean, I'm tall. So, I get to eat a lot.
Oh yeah, Brian asked me today. He's like, "How tall is Mark?" Like, I don't know. He's like 6'5" or something. He's like,
no, 6'3".
Oh, 6'3". And I heard his pants. He got a raging.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. I just try to work out 5 days a week. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes shit just gets so crazy. Like you just you can't. Not isn't nearly as shape I'd like to be in. But at the same time, sometimes I'm like, dude, I don't want to get too jacked because I think that people might not take me seriously anymore. Might be like,
mix your record, bro.
Yeah. Like I've never done any drugs or anything like that. Like never done any performance enhancing drugs. I've done performance hindering drugs. But,
I'll never do this again.
Yeah. Or I'll keep doing it until it's terrible. But yeah, that stuff. I mean, and I don't think, it's like how fucking big you need to get. I'm not competing and I'm fucking 37 years old. Like I'm not going to fucking hurt my back and be some piece of shit dad, can't even pick up my daughter anymore or something. You know what I mean?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm 4'8". So when I go to the gym, I don't bench over 225 anymore. It's just, I'm 40 years old. I'm not impressing anyone.
Dude, that's good. That's a good height, though. You could probably do some real good in powerlifting competitions. You don't have to lift up far at all.
Yeah, 4'8", you butthead. Butthead. Was there any other? I know we have questions here, but it's rolling. Oh, somebody wanted to know about shit. Where was it? Crap.
Was it about the snare?
Oh well, yeah. There was a snare, Vistalite, 1970. Yeah. Do you? And this is he says, do you suggest the drummer to tune up or down a snare? But it depends on the.
Yeah, it depends on the music. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
He said, Robot Master Switch says, ask Mark about bands that mash genres. EX Zeal and Ardor, Baby Metal, the whole trap genre, metal genre evolution, or Mind F.
Zeal and Ardor, yeah.
I don't know what that is. I don't know any of that is, except for like Baby Metal, which
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm an old dad. Like, yeah, I only know what I'm working on, and then people are like, "Have you heard about this new big band?" I'm like, "No, I have not."
I have not. Brian, do you have anything else?
I have a lot of stuff.
Then rip it off.
What is it? I don't know if you can talk about it, but are you working on anything right now, or do you have some projects coming up that you can discuss?
Yeah, I got tons coming up, and I'm working on a ton right now too.
Thanks, Gary.
Like, I don't know if you can give it away, but
the new chapel we worked on forever.
I'm pumped for that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. I mean, a bunch of mixes, and I have a good amount of. For some reason, my spring has jacked itself up with very tech bands, but good ones that actually write songs. I'm doing the new Ne Obliviscaris record. I started that a year ago, almost, and then we started that the week that the lockdown started, because the drummer flew here from Australia, and then I was supposed to fly to Australia for 6 weeks, and that never happened. So they've been kind of doing stuff on their own here and there after we did the drums. And then I'll mix that record, and I think it's brilliant. I think it'll probably be their best, and it sounds really good. There's two other tech bands from the Bay Area that I'll be working with. I'm not going to say yet. yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Some cool stuff, man. You know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Another question I have: if you can pick a band or two that you can work with, like a dream job, who would it be and why?
Oh, Metallica or Slayer, for sure. You know, in their peak, or like, you know, Megadeth would be great. But I have worked with them, and Gojira would be awesome. Somebody like that, or even, you know, Meshuggah, somebody like that would be great. Love those guys. Like, just respect them all so much, and like, just any band that writes great songs and wants to be themselves is an ideal band for me to work with.
Gotcha. I know, Jay, I've asked you that before. Who would you want to work with?
Metallica and Metallica. And I'd be fired if I had balls in my pants if I worked with Metallica. Because yeah, instantly, this fucking guy out of here. Who's he talking to like that? Maybe even Meshuggah too, like that type of thing. Just because I think, you know, this is probably me, you know, thinking I'm hot stuff, even though I'm not. But I just have an idea in my head of, like, you know, these bands that, and this is my opinion, you know, Metallica, for instance, like Mark talked about working with them in the heyday. Like, I think that I know what they should sound like. I think I know what they would need to do.
I agree. But there's, I mean, you know, I would, it would be amazing if they heard this, but, you know, it's like, I think they're surrounded by a bunch of yes men, and I would tell them that, you know. And I think that, like, the last record was amazing, but it should have been 8 songs.
Yeah.
Like 4 of them were just
filler.
You know, and it's like, just because you guys did 12 songs doesn't mean they all have to be on the record, you know.
Right.
Cut them. It should have been 8 songs. And there was some amazing stuff on there, like legit, and the Hetfield sounded killer.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like that last song, Spit Out the Bone, was great. That kind of sad but true-y thing that should not be Cthulhu-y song or whatever. That was a great song, like serious hook. But yeah, it's
to,
like,
to me, there's some moments on that record where I'm like, why wouldn't they harmonize this here, or before the second verse? Why didn't Kirk do a little leading into the second verse? Like, there's a lot of moments like that where I'm like, oh, yeah. What do you that type of shit? But that's
no, I'm totally there with you. I mean, because I enjoy that record, I really do. There's a couple songs I skip, but and Death Magnetic, I mean, there's some great stuff on there too, but it just, you know, Ruben made it so bare, and Metallica, I don't know, it wasn't the right bear for them, you know. It needed a little polish.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand Lars when he's talking about, oh, you know, we wanted to do this and we wanted to do that. I understand the artistic vision, but at the same time, you know.
And we have a chat. We got Music Therapy Laz. Mark, tell us your worst in-studio story dealing with Jay. That's what we really want to know. Thanks, Music Therapy.
It was the mix notes, the little minute things, man. Like finishing something and be like, oh, we need you to bring this thing down, like after the song was done days ago. Or I remember there was one thing that we argued about where it was about the bass or the kick drum. And I told you something like, you said, can you turn the bass up? And I said, yeah, but if I turn the bass up, the guitars are going to get too low and you're going to miss the kick drum. And I turned the bass up, and then like 2 days later, you're like, I can't hear the guitars and the kick drum now. And I'm like, you fuck, you know, something like that. Like what I said was going to happen, and then it happened, and you were like, eh.
But I should know that. But then in my mind, I'm thinking, well, he'll do that, but he'll adjust everything else around it. And I know
that, but he'll just do magic stuff too.
Yeah, but there was another one. There was another part where there was a vocal line, just an extra harmony that Mike did. And I think it was literally like a few months after the record was done.
Yes, it was.
And I was like, dude, there's one vocal line where Mike it's one note. Is there any chance you can just go back in? Because I'll hear it for the rest of my life and hate myself for not asking you to do it.
Yeah.
And you know, you did it. And I know I annoyed the shit out of you.
Yeah,
But-
there was some annoying stuff, but it's really good, man. I've really sincerely hope the record does something. I mean, I don't know if you guys will be able to tour on it, but you know, like, I hope it, you know, even if it just becomes a cult classic or something. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but it's fucking killer, man. And it sounds good, and I enjoy. I can hear it and not hate it, and you know,
That's a plus. I mean, I know you've worked on, and not that you've told me this, but you know, the handful or whatever of records that I've worked on, when you're mixing something, you have to hear it a million times while you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
And when you get a part stuck in your head of something that sucks, it's not fun. For like 3 days, you'll be humming something. You're like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. So when you enjoy something you're working on, that makes it.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of records I can't hear that I've worked on. I mean, obviously I'm not going to sit here and name them, but
Gizmachi.
yeah, no. That, I mean, especially ones in my early days, you know, where it just, you know, it got away from me, but people were happy and I got paid and whatever.
Yeah,
Well,
we were talking.
That brings up a good question then. So that fine line as well between the band's happy, but I'm not happy. I don't think this sounds good, but they like it. Or the other way, like you do something and you're like, guys, I think this sounds great. And they're like, no, we don't want to do that. And you're like,
yeah.
My name is on this record. If I put something out that I don't think sounds good, that I don't want, you know, have you ever come across something like that where you don't want your name on something?
I've been pretty close.
I think I know. Well, maybe not, because the record sounds good, but I don't want to name any names on here either, because I know I mentioned the record and you're like, shit, I forgot I even did that.
There's a lot of records I forgot. Yeah, and like I need to go through now and like, you know, just to be a normal person on the internet and like actually complete my discography. And I'm like, man, like, because I saw the one on Wiki recently, and I'm like, holy shit, like half the stuff is missing. So I'm like, okay, I got to go back and remember all this stuff. Maybe I'll just delete that one from my discography.
I know you worked on the Bad Wolves. You know, was it their first two albums, or definitely the last one?
The first one I had a lot more to do with than the second one. The first one, yeah. I mean, John Berkland, the drummer and main songwriter for Bad Wolves, is one of my best friends, and he was in Devil Driver and all that stuff. That's how we became close. Probably spent more time in the studio with John than just about anybody. But yeah, I mean, he came to me with that project, and it was called Eye of Tongues, and they didn't even have a singer, and the songs were pretty much done. Like, you know, you could tell like they didn't have a singer, but the arrangements were really good. Just there enough to track it. He came in and he had written a lot of it with a guy named Max Karen, who still does a lot of the writing with John. Max is brilliant. But yeah, they had these songs, and there was like 13 of them, man. It was like, holy shit, these demos are amazing. Like, I want to make a record. And John came out to Audio Hammer. We did the drums in like 2015.
Man.
And then he was like auditioning singers, and there was a bunch of guys that he heard. And then he's like, I think I'm going to try Tommy Vex. And I'm like, I don't know, man. He's, you know, like the honest conversation, you know, was, you know, and Tommy and I are cool, you know, we're friends, but I'm like, man, you know, is that the right mix personality wise for you guys? You know, like, is Tommy too strong of a personality? And, you know, he hadn't really had a long track record with staying in bands and stuff.
Yeah.
But then he sent me the demo, and I'm like, oh God, I'm like, you got to get Tommy. This is so good. You know, because yeah, I mean, you know, it's honest things you talk about. You know, that's the most candid thing I could say here. You know, and as soon as I heard it, I'm like, Jesus. I was like, you got to hire him, dude. Like, you know, and now they've gone their separate ways. But they needed to do that, and Tommy is going to have his solo career, hopefully he does well or whatever. But, the band too. I mean, the band now has to regroup, but they're brilliant. I mean, and working on that first record was hard. It was incredibly easy to track John, and he was easy to work with on that sense. But then once they, quote unquote, I mean, they pretty much signed to a major with 11-7. I mean, there's money there. It's not like signing to Columbia or something like that, or Sony. But it was, you started to get a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and the record took like a year and a half to mix, and like at least we didn't. I mean, I started the mix in Florida, and the record was pretty much mixed, and then I moved to Nashville in the middle of it, and ended up finishing the record here, and and then there's like 4 other songs on the record that I didn't produce or co-produce and engineer, and then so those had to get on the record, and that was like Kevin Churko did some of those, and then I can't remember who did some of the other ones. Then there was the zombie thing, and that whole thing was absolutely insane, and just that whole story was just madness. I mean, John and I mean, dude, God, man, I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he did it, and he nearly killed himself doing it, and it was hard on me, dude. I honestly, I mean, there was times him and I cried. I mean, like, screamed at each other and cried. Like, it was hard record to make, dude, and it wasn't hard to get those initial 13 songs. Those came together like nothing. But then it was the politics of Tommy, and not saying that Tommy brought in bad politics, but it was like Tommy brought a really pop element to the band, and then it was like, oh, this is something much bigger now, and now you're dealing with a team of people who want to put this band on the radio, and then it's square peg round hole type things, and then you get the right songs, and then the zombie thing, and it was just so much happened, and nobody was doing anything wrong. It was that it was so hard to keep track of everything that was going on that record and put it together, and then they made it huge. I mean, I'm honored to be a part of it, and I did the heavy tracks on it, and they figured out what they needed to be big, and they did it. And it's honest. I mean, it wasn't dishonest stuff. I mean, it's the songs they wanted to write, but they, John didn't want to be in Devil Driver anymore. And I say that in a sense that he didn't want to be playing those bills. He wanted to be on bills with Five Finger Death Punch and Shinedown, and that's where he wanted to go, and he did it, and he figured it out. And it's like, dude, that world, if you're not big, is miserable. I would much rather be in a metal band, say Black Dahlia size, and sell t-shirts, and sometimes ride in a van, but mostly ride in the bus, and be well managed and make a good living and own a house, than try to be some active rock band. Because those active rock bands, man, the small ones don't sell t-shirts, and they don't sell panties to girls and shit like that. Like, that's a tough life, dude. And like, when you're like, I want to break into active rock, you better be ready to have no money for a long time, unless you're already rich, because you can make it in a metal band, because like, you see Slipknot t-shirts and Black Dahlia t-shirts more than you see a Justin Bieber t-shirt or a Starset t-shirt or something. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't even know what Starset is.
Have built-in revenue streams, and they make blue collar money, and it's a good living. And if you're well managed, and you become a legacy act like Cannibal Corpse or somebody like that, like, you're going to retire and you're going to do well, and you lived a good life.
Yeah.
But to do that miserable active rock thing, man, like, you got some balls, because you're not going to make any money until you're making all the money.
Sure.
I have a funny, speaking of Tommy Vex, I have a funny Tommy Vex story. I think it's funny, but because we used to, when Gizmachi was literally kind of just starting out with, playing the heavy stuff with our old singer, Sean. Sean and Tommy hit it off really well. Two big dudes that could kill everybody at the place,
Of course.
And I just remember we played like backyard parties with Vexed. That was Tommy's band back then.
Yeah.
In New York. It was just Vexed,
Yeah, because he lived in Queens, right?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
we'd have a bunch of shows with those guys.
Yeah.
But I remember after, it might have been while we were cutting the Imbuing, our first record, we were in the studio. We might have been mixing it at the time. I can't remember. But we went and saw Fear Factory, and I think it was a festival type show. There was a bunch of bands, but it was Fear Factory at the Roseland, I think it was. And he was there. Tommy was everywhere, man. Around that time period, if we went somewhere as a band, even if it was to a show anywhere, Tommy was there. At one point, we saw him on a train coming home from the studio one night. It was like, oh, are there like 20 Tommy Vex around? Like,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
But I remember at the Roseland, and this is like during Fear Factory, he starts talking to me and Jimmy, and he's like, "You guys, your songs are too long. You guys, if you want to, you gotta start writing shorter songs, man. No one's gonna, all this stuff." And I'm just like thinking to myself, like, I can't write shorter songs, number one.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those funny stories. Like, he basically is like peppering me and Jimmy, in the corner of the balcony area. Like, you guys got to write shorter songs. I'm just like, okay, don't kill me.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's totally, I mean, and a lot of times, Tommy will be right, but he's definitely a polarizing personality.
Yep. I mean, I never had a problem with him personally, so
yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't, because I probably wouldn't be sitting here if I did. So there was a question a minute ago. I know you probably want to split, and I feel bad we're keeping.
No, it's all right. I mean, we're good. I'll answer some more questions. We're cool. We cool.
Yeah, there was one I saw. No, I can't find it.
I like what Mark is saying right now. That was a few minutes ago.
Oh,
that was very interesting stuff about the whole, the metal thing, and then the radio, the rock thing. Like, I never really thought of it like that. I mean, from my personal standpoint, I don't think I'd be able to, even if it was, well, now maybe it's different, but back then, 27 years old or whatever, if you would have told me, hey, you can continue playing your music that you enjoy playing, or you can, maybe play some stuff that, the musical integrity thing I always came, thought of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, back then when we were actually active and playing, I don't think I would have been able to like play stuff that I didn't enjoy just to be playing arenas or whatever and selling a million records. Now it's a little different. If Taylor Swift wanted me to play guitar on tour with her, I'm right out there,
Yeah, of course.
But I guess it's different ways, I don't know. Just different ways of thinking about music. Jimmy wants to know, he's in the chat. He says, when's the next symphony record coming out?
Oh my God. I don't know. I actually found Jimmy always asked. Symphony was my metal band before I really,
which was awesome,
got busy into recording. It's funny you guys like that so much. But a friend of mine from back in Maryland, who has like one of the craziest metal collections. Shout out to my buddy Mike. He has like I've never seen a metal collection like this. He saves everything and has every CD and every record, and then like rips it all to MP3. And I didn't even have a lot of the demos and stuff of those 12 songs that we had, and he had a lot of the other demos that I couldn't even find, and he actually shipped them to me on a thumb drive. I was like, oh shit. Like, I heard stuff I hadn't heard since, before Ozfest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that stuff. I can barely play guitar anymore though. So
well, Jimmy said he still listens to that shit.
That's hilarious.
That's what he said. I still listen to that shit. Didn't he put that one song in one of his movies that he made?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna ask Mark to put that song in one of my movies. You think you'll like, yeah, just ask him. It'll be fun.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for the royalty check.
Bash You Long Time says,
Yeah.
Mark, would you agree that nothing sounds like a 4x12? What's your dream 4x12 setup and speakers if money wasn't an issue? Well, you have, what do you say, 14
12
cabinets?
or 14 of them now. Yeah. I have like probably 6 or 8 that I really do use a lot. The other kind of just sit there. I would just get more old Marshalls, and I would find some good greenbacks from back in the day, and then I'd also find some gray backs and black backs, because I'm pretty sure that like Ride the Lightning and a couple of those records were made on that speaker. Whereas, like, like, not to get too nerdy here, but like Master of Puppets, you can very much tell that they switched to a G1265 because that guitar sound is so dark. It sounds exactly like that speaker. Or some of the original vintage 30s I'd love to have, from when they first started making them in the 80s. But I mean, I have a lot of that stuff. And I mean, a lot of the new Celestion stuff is as good as the old stuff, man. I mean, it's like one of those things where it's like I do have some old greenbacks that I do like the sound of, but they're not any better than the new stuff. And people get so caught up on that. Like, guys are paying, $6,000 for a 70s Marshall 412. It's like, dude, it's a good cab, but come on.
Is it going to make or break a record for $6,000?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could, because the speaker sound is so important in the sound of a record. The guitar speaker, but I feel like the new stuff that Celestion makes is just as good as the old stuff. And there's stuff that I wish that they would remake, but sometimes I wonder if they even know what they made.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the components that they used back then. Because I know you have one of the original block letter 5150s.
Mm-hmm.
And according to James Brown, who designed that amp,
mm-hmm.
he said the reason why the block letter ones people say they sound better is because the tubes that they used, and I forget, we actually talked about this.
They used some Chinese tubes. It was the Shuguang tubes in them. Yeah, and dude, I haven't had my block letter I've had for 20 years, and it didn't have the original tubes in it back then. And yeah, man, I think that myth around the block letters is just a bunch of BS, dude. Like, it's an amazing amp, but I've had the signature ones sound just as good. And then I have a 6534, which is like the newer 6505 with the L34s in it. And that thing spanks the shit out of the block letter sometimes. Like, people are like, fuck that block letter, put that amp on the record. Like the whole Havoc, new Havoc record is that amp on leads, and it's so killer. It's tighter. It's got cooler low end, but then sometimes the block letter is just so nasty. It's like a nastier, not as tight, more raw thing. And I've been meaning to put different tubes in that. Like, tubes make a huge difference. Like that moron Glenn Fricker or whatever made that video about how tubes don't make a difference. And if you're, don't waste your money on tubes. And I'm like, what? It was a whole big argument, dude. And like, I'll totally call the guy out on it. Like, just absolutely insane to tell people that tubes don't make a difference. And
what are those Chinese tubes that you were just referencing again?
Shuguang. It's SHUGUANG, I think, was the ones that they had in those. I could be wrong, but I know that they were Chinese. And a lot of the Chinese tubes are great. Like, like a couple of my amps had the Chinese tubes in them. I think my Rhodes Colossus has Chinese 6L6s, which are Shuguangs. And then the Mesa, the STR 440s, which everybody loves. Those are Chinese, and they're great.
Well, I think I remember hearing something because some Dave dude in the chat says Russian tubes. I think from what I remember hearing from James Brown and somebody else told me the same story. And obviously James Brown didn't tell me, it was just from an article or an interview with him, that he's saying Russian tubes. And I guess the first batch or something of the original block letters came out with those tubes, and then the company stopped making them. And then they just put regular, whatever the hell, tubes after that. So I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they were Chinese, but we'll have to Google it and see.
Yeah, giggle it.
The thing that I love, we just went to a whole new realm of nerdism with Chinese tubes. I've never heard any of this stuff, and I love music, so I love it. So keep going, please.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I get really nerdy. Like Zach and I from Whitechapel. I mean, God, I mean he gets even nerdier than me because he's better at teching amps. But yeah, man, I mean we'll take a riff and reamp it through an amp 17 different times with a bunch of different tube combinations, and then not tell each other what's what. And be like, I like number 4, and he's like, oh, you picked these tubes. I'm like, oh, cool. You know, like, yeah, I mean, we get crazy with them. Like my driftwood has some crazy tubes in it, and we spent hours like going through them and biasing them how we wanted, and you know, like it just get really nerdy. Like my diesel Herbert, like I biased it super cold, like it comes super hot, and all these techs are like, oh, you can't bias it too cold or you'll have crossover distortion. It's like, does it sound good? I don't care if the distortion crossed over to fucking Narnia. Like, turn it down, turn the bias down, and it sounds better. Like, sorry, dude. Like, I don't care where it's supposed to be. It sounds better there.
Track number 4. I like that. The Laotian tubes. Yeah, I love it. I love where we're going with this.
Yeah.
Well, Music Therapy Laz says, earlier in the chat, I asked, what does Mark think about the Celestion Rocket 12-inch speakers?
I haven't heard them.
Okay.
I don't know the Rockets.
And what about Bash You Long Time says, any love for the KT88 amps, Mark?
KT88s? The two?
I guess.
I have KT88s in my driftwood with 6 CA7s in it's KT88s and 6 CA7s. It's a hybrid. I love them. They're great. I have KT88s in my old Randall Lynch box too. Good tube. High powered, you know, clean tube.
What about them fallopian tubes, you know?
Fallopian tubes, yes. Russian fallopian tube.
Yeah. Where does Mesa get their tubes from?
As far as I know, it's a couple different sources. It depends. That's why they have the different brandings. I mean, I don't want to speak out for Mesa for sure, but I know that those STR 440s were for sure Chinese. And then there was like an STR 425 that's really coveted. I think that was a Russian tube.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I just know that they buy them from a bunch of different tube manufacturers, and then they test them themselves for reliability, and then they brand them with the Mesa.
Yeah, because they sent me. I retubed my Simulclass 290.
Yeah,
about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now.
Yeah,
and they sent me a bunch of them. I don't know. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at half the time. I had to look at the diagram to wait a minute. I just can't plug these in randomly.
Yeah.
Like, no, you got to put them in the right spots. I'm like, what?
Yep.
Nobody ever told me this. Yeah, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So, yeah, the match tubes and all that stuff. Robot Master Switch is asking about. Yeah. You want to show a guitar real quick?
What do you want to see?
Sure,
that one Ivan has a 7-string that you have. The
yeah. That's
27.
It's a rare one too. It's the old RG 1077.
Subscribe to the podcast. Please leave us 5 stars and reviews.
Apple. So there you go. This thing was I bought this in 2001. So it's well played and nice and dinged up because it's basswood and dense if you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have the Floyd upgrade stuff in it, which does help quite a bit. But yeah, you can
see Adam from FU-Tone, right?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. It's a 2001. It's a great guitar, man. I mean, it sounds great. It's got Wes Hauck's signature pickup in it. Shout out to Wes. It's a great pickup. It's my favorite pickup I've ever had in this guitar. I've had the second favorite is the Evolution though. The Evolution.
That's what I got in this bad boy. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's such an underrated pickup. It sounds nothing like the 6-string version, but damn, it sounds good.
So what pickup? I might have to try one of those.
Wes Houck. It's a Seymour Duncan Jupiter.
Oh, Seymour Duncan. Okay. My bad.
Yeah. It's really good. It's got the rails, as you can see, and it's pretty hot. I mean, he's a big dime bag guy, so I wouldn't say that it's super similar to a dime bucker, but it's definitely got that, it's got the blade feel because it's very even. It's got a real prominent mid range, but it's also got really good dynamics for being so hot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good pickup.
Nice guitar.
Yeah. I got all kinds of them here, dude. All kinds of them.
What's your weirdest guitar or rarest guitar?
Oh, you know what? Well, rarest. Hold on. I don't know if it's. Do you remember this thing? I had it on the bus at Ozfest.
Did you?
Yeah. So this guitar. Yeah. I mean, you played it quite a bit.
So I stunk it up. Still trying to recover.
It was a well, the headstock's all different now, but it's this guitar. It sounds amazing, but I bought this guitar. It was a body blank. There was nothing routed or anything. It was just a blank guitar, and it was a BC Rich Gunslinger that came out of the custom shop in like '93 that never got finished. I guess when the company kind of regrouped or shut down for a while or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it was at a swap meet at the guitar shop that I worked at. I bought it in like '97 before I even worked there. And a guy had a bunch of BC Rich parts and Kramer parts. I originally wanted to build a Night Swan out of parts. Remember those things, Kramer Night Swans?
Johnny will.
They're great guitars.
Yeah, those are awesome.
And he had a bunch of Night Swan parts, and then he had this sitting there. And it was blank, and it had a rosewood fretboard with the diamond inlays like the BC Rich shit does.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how much you want for this body? And he's like, $150. And I'm like, I got $50 cash. He's like, I'll take it.
Wow.
So it was, yeah. And then this guy in Virginia named Willie Owens, because I grew up in Maryland, and I met him somehow at an Overkill show, and he was building guitars for one of the dudes in Overkill, and his guitars looked amazing. And I got to talking to him. I said, man, I got this body because my dad and I were going to finish it. We never did. And I met that dude, Willie, and he's like, yeah, I'll finish your guitar for you. And I think he charged me $500 to do all this.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
and all you had was the body, a blank body.
Yeah, and it's never been painted, as you can see. And I've thought about recently, I've thought about having a luthier here put a flame maple top on it and then moving this pickup back, because this guitar does have a ton of low end, so it's not the tightest sounding, but it's really thick sounding. So I'm like, maybe I can have a flame maple top put on this thing and then have the pickup moved back. But I don't know. It probably costs a lot of money. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff here.
Fart Arguncle.
What else do I have here? There's all kinds of stuff here, man.
I love seeing it.
Here's something that everybody's seen a million times. This is an 83P bass. This thing sounds great.
There you go.
There's just guitars in every room of this house.
You see this one?
Those for hours. What's that?
Did you see this one?
What do you got, bro? That thing's great.
Just a.
Is that a custom shop, or where'd you get these colors?
Well, it just had the black Ibanez Prestige. I bought a pink sticker and put it on.
Oh,
look at that! Look at that fretboard, man.
That's great. Is this a basswood one or is it ash?
It's a basswood one.
Ugh. What pickups are in, bro?
They're bare knuckles. I'm not going to tell you what pickup this is because the guy whose it is doesn't like Gizmachi, and this is an Ecstasy, which is phenomenal. You can figure out who that is, I'm sure.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right.
I just got these knobs a couple days ago. I'm going to have to make the letters and numbers black just to match everything else.
Killer.
But that's cool, man. I dig it.
I dig it. I dig it.
I do dig it. So that one, I think I only did like an overdub or 2 or 3 on the record with that guitar. But yeah, like 95% or 97% was done with this. So
is that the one you were torn with on Ozfest?
No, the one.
Oh, you had a universe then, or not a different universe. The one with the pyramid inlays.
Yeah, that was this one right here. And Ellie did a custom sticker job to it. So,
Oh, nice.
but you have a daughter too. If she did something like this to one of your guitars, can you really take it off?
No, that's hilarious. Like she did it, didn't even ask you.
Well, I was playing it. That's why there's no stickers here.
Oh, okay.
And she was just, putting stickers on while I was playing it. And I was like, I'll just take them off later. And then I was like, I can't take them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the guitar I had on Ozfest. And I've kept it in pretty decent shape. I mean, there's
You
just
sure have, yeah.
like you said, the basswood thing.
Yep.
I mean, like you said, you touch it, you breathe on it, and you get nicks all over it, but
Exactly.
still looks pretty good, I think.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else going on here?
I don't know, guys. Are we out of stuff to talk about?
Well, we have talked a little bit about the single, the video that dropped today. So everyone today, check out Metal Sucks today. The video that Jimmy put together for Look What I've Become premiered, and tomorrow it will be on the Gizmachi YouTube page. So everyone check it out.
Sucks today. I got to go look at the comments and see and watch people bash on it. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm sure they have. They have.
It's pretty cool. Bjorn's in it, so it's pretty sweet.
That saves us a little bit.
Yeah,
Bjorn sort of works on your record. It's kind of like, well, the music sucks.
He did a great job. Did you drive him crazy?
Actually, no.
No.
He was very cool. Like, it was 90% of it was done through email. Like he'd send a song, and if there was a section that maybe we weren't feeling or something, it wasn't like anything. He never sent anything back that was like, oh, what the hell is he thinking? But
Yeah.
no, it was just like we'd kind of give him an idea. Like during this part, can you maybe try a little different or something like that? But he was pretty. He's a pro, man.
Yeah.
He's a pro. I almost want to do another album just to have him on it again,
Yeah, no, he's amazing. Dude, I haven't seen that guy in ages. But wasn't he living in Arizona for a while or something? I thought.
Wasn't that Peter Witcher, the guitar
No, Peter lives in North Carolina, but I thought that Bjorn was like living in Arizona or something. Like,
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
But we're gonna do a
Peter. I know Peter's in North Carolina. We still talk. He's awesome. He's best.
He's working with Jackson, right?
Yeah, he works for Fender and Jackson.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he was super nice on Ozfest, Peter. He was really cool.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna be doing because the album comes out on March 12th.
Yep, 2 weeks from Friday.
2 weeks from Friday. So Sunday, I think I mentioned this to Johnny, but maybe I didn't get the date right. Johnny, if you're listening, Sunday the 14th of March, we're thinking about doing a metal Sunday instead of metal Wednesday, like a Gizmachi takeover thing. Is that cool?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Because I actually sent an email with Bjorn, and he actually wants to come on for a few minutes and talk about doing the vocals and shit, which I think will be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So maybe if Mark
Put him on the spot live, be like, we're going to take over your channel on Sunday. He's like, oh, what am I going to say?
What was he gonna say?
Jay, no.
He's going to be like, actually.
So Mark, I mean, if you're free that day, maybe you could pop on too for a few minutes.
Sunday, March 14th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe. I'll just be a regular on the show, dude. There
This
you
is
go.
So also, you guys made it onto the Devil's Dozen on Liquid Metal. You were number 10 this past Friday.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So everybody out there, make sure you go and vote. Check Gizmachi's socials. Jay will put up some links to make sure everyone's calling, emailing,
How do I do that?
sending messages via Morse code, whatever it is to Jose. Make sure everyone's voting. So it's pretty cool. Number 10, not bad.
Well, a lot to do with the mix as well. When you hear something on the radio, back to sandwiched in between other stuff that what it sounds like, and it doesn't sound was like, oh, what the hell happened to this song?
Did it hold up on satellite radio? Because man, they screw it up real good.
Oh well. The problem is the metal stations, even the rock stations, they don't get as much satellite bandwidth or whatever the hell you want to call it. You put on a rap station or a pop station on satellite, it sounds okay, but then the metal stuff sounds compressed as shit, like worse than 128, man. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Wow.
No, it sounds great.
Well, good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. There it is. Liquid Metal, Sirius XM. Call them. Leave them a voicemail. Tell them you want to hear Gizmachi. And yeah, do it.
Cool.
Definitely check it out. And then we're going to see a lot of Gizmachi advertising coming up. So album comes out in 2 weeks. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, I'm pumped too. Send me some promos. I'll post them, bro.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. Mark, do you want to plug anything? You want to plug your socials? Do you want to plug your biceps?
Yeah, my socials are all Mark Lewis 720. Every single one of them. Just MarkLewis 720. Here, we'll do this.
There you go. Oh yeah, my wife reminded me I have to do rapid fire questions before we let you go.
But also check out my STL Tones Tone Hub pack.
Yes.
STLtones.com, and then my Tune Track drum library. I have a lot of products with Tune Track. I have 4 different products with them, but their flagship, or my flagship product with them, I guess, and would be their new metal flagship product would be the Death and Darkness STX that we did with Sean Reinert. Rest in peace. What an amazing guy. We did that with him at Sonic Ranch in Texas, where I did a couple Devil Driver records and things like that. And it's just one of the best studios on planet Earth. And we made amazing drum samples there and really cool product. And then the STL Tones thing. I mean, I'm always going to be trying to do more product with them because they did such a good job with this Tone Hub thing. It's, to me, incredible stuff, incredible software.
It sounds amazing. And if I don't mind saying so myself, the Gizmachi preset.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's, what is it, number 4 or 7 or something?
It's, something like that. But it's the second, because I was almost nervous. The last thing I wanted to do was plug in and put the Gizmachi preset on and be like, oh, man, it doesn't say. I was like, fuck yeah. and then Jimmy got it. Dude. Yeah. Jimmy got it, and instantly, like within minutes, he I don't know, I forget if he texted me or called me. He's like, dude, the Gizmachi preset's that's the best sounding rhythm tone on the whole fucking thing. I was like,
yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's cool.
So, all right, rapid fire before we let you go.
All right.
We're going to set the timer at 2 minutes.
Okay.
Now,
go ahead.
I'm going to ask you one or the other, and I'd like you to pick one of them. I don't want to cause any, if you feel like you don't want to answer one, just say skip.
All right.
I don't want to get you in trouble. You are a professional. All right. Timer starts now. Sammy or Dave?
Oh, man. Dave?
Football or baseball?
Sammy's the better singer, though, by far. Football.
All right. Ibanez or Jackson?
Jackson.
Sandals or flip-flops? I know this answer.
Flip-flops.
Hendrix or Satriani?
Oh, I love them both, but Hendrix for the contributions to all.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
CD or vinyl?
Vinyl.
Blonde, brunette, or redhead?
Brunette.
Frankenstrat or 5150?
The guitars?
Yeah, the guitars.
The Frankenstrat, for sure. Yeah, I mean, come on.
A fancy restaurant or a burger joint?
Burger joint.
Auto tune or out of tune?
In tune. What the hell kind of question is that?
Video games or porn?
Porn.
Cheddar or Swiss?
Cheddar.
Metallica or Megadeth?
Oh man, that's so tough. Metallica was more important to me as a kid, but Megadeth was everything too, man. I mean, goddamn, come on, I can't. I'd have to skip it. It's too much. It's too hard.
All right, how about this? Lightning or Justice?
Justice.
Rust in Peace or Countdown?
Rust in Peace of all of them, dude. Rust in Peace is the Bible.
Christmas or Halloween?
Christmas.
Boxers or tighty whities?
Boxers. Boxer briefs.
Pro Tools or Reaper?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Pro Tools.
Coffee or energy drinks?
Neither.
Whitechapel or Gizmachi? Sorry, we're out of time. Out of time. Time's up. Can't answer the last question. Sorry. My wife thought of that one. I was like, how am I going to end this? I need a question that's a cliffhanger.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think we did good. Hopefully everybody digs it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no sweat. I'm happy to do it. I got to go to the grocery store and get some eggs because I'm fucking hungry.
You got to get some eggs so you can fart all night?
The carbs make you fart, dude. The eggs, nothing, man.
Well, why do egg farts smell like eggs?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really have egg farts. I think it's just sulfur. Who knows?
All right, man. Everybody, thanks for watching. I don't know how we wrap this up. We got to do
executive producers.
Yeah, Mark, how about this? We'll let you go. We'll do all this stuff, the particulars. Maybe I'll do a quick roll call before we sign off. Nobody leave yet except for Mark. We'll let you go buy some eggs so you can fart.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Great talking to you guys. I had fun. This was
Thanks,
a good time.
All right.
Thanks,
I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you guys.
Hi, man.
That was awesome, man. He's awesome.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. Before, Johnny, you bring up the executive producers of the show, we have to leave everyone. Jay, what's a song or two for everyone to listen to before we check out?
Oh, man. How about a little bit? I saw Mike Ball's comment in the chat before with a band called Sixth, S-I-K-T-H.
Mm-hmm.
Bland Street Bloom is the song. I'll pull up the artwork so you guys can see it. I listened to it a couple of days ago. There it is. So here's the album cover. Johnny, why don't you hop in here and join us for a minute? Come on. There it is. So the album is called Death of a Dead Day.
Mm-hmm.
There's the album cover, and it's track 1, Bland Street Bloom. It's awesome. It's one of those, they're one of those bands, like if you play heavy music, like progressive metal or something like that, they're one of those bands when you listen to them, you're like, shit, we're not technical enough. You know, they're one of those bands that like they do it well and very musical, but not over the top. I mean, some of the stuff I guess some people would consider over the top, but like I wish I wrote some of those guitar parts in that song. They're one of those, like, oh my God. You know. Hey,
Gotcha.
Wait a minute. Real quick, you had a red jacket for like a split second on you, and then it
Which
went
was dope as hell. Where'd it go?
Yeah, where'd it go? I saw it.
Disappeared?
I saw it.
Must have been a glitch.
A glitch in the matrix.
Yeah. And is Music Therapy Labs listening? You're listening, right? He said he was driving.
Oh.
Dude, Music Therapy, my lights were turned off. And then all of a sudden I look back and they're green.
Yeah, Jeannie.
Yeah.
You're wrong. Johnny's lights actually are controlled.
They were off. They weren't even on. And I look back and I'm like, wow. So yeah, thank you, Music Therapy Labs and Jarhead Rock. Yeah, it doesn't work with the super stickers. That's what we realized, but it's okay.
Cool. Johnny, do you have any songs that you want people to check out? What's your homework? Anything?
No.
No? Nothing you're listening to right now you want to share with everyone?
I don't listen to anything.
Besides the new Gizmachi?
Brand X. That's the last record Johnny bought.
Yeah.
Brand X.
Yeah. No, I listen to talk radio is what I listen to. So I listen to like the news and just yapping, like this type of stuff. I really don't listen to music. Maybe something off this, I guess. Hit Express. K-Tel.
Compilation cassette.
Spirits in the Material World by the Police.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That bass line is hot stepping, man.
Yeah.
Great bass line.
That's great stuff.
For a hit single from a band like the Police. Now, obviously, we know that they, super talented, progressive as hell. But I remember hearing that song as a kid when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember hearing that bass line, and I knew there was something special about it, It's like normal people wouldn't put that bass line in that song. And I mean, when you kind of think about it, it's a genius bass line for that song.
You know what's a phenomenal bass line that I remember, like what you were saying, being a kid, and it stuck out to me was Rio by Duran Duran. That bass line, that song is phenomenal.
Yeah. I think didn't the bass player for Duran Duran write a lot of those songs back then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That bass line's hopping.
It is. It's fantastic. Cool. Good stuff, Johnny.
Now you guys are talking about stuff I like.
We go from metal to Duran Duran.
So I have 2 songs for everyone to check out. First song is a deep cut, and I'll remember when Jay sent it to me. I don't know if I should say it. It's from Byzantine. It's off their last album, and it's the first song that I heard. It's called Trap Jaw.
Really?
Jay, you remember sending that to me?
Yeah, I do. It's the first song I mixed. That's probably why I sent it to you.
Yeah,
you shouldn't say that.
You're like, check that out. And Trap Jaw is an amazing song. So someone like Robot Master Switch, if you haven't heard that song, it's great. It's really tight. Byzantine is real good rhythmically. That song, that's my favorite song off the album. And also the producer is pretty cool. Did a great job on it.
Check this out. Speaking of vinyl, I got one of the special edition, and I know it's not going to show up, but no, this isn't the one. Crap. I'll show you.
But anyway, that song is great. My favorite song off the album.
Is it really?
To me, it's like Gojira-esque. Like it's real tight. I love it. That's a great.
I know that's one of the songs where I want it really locked in.
Mm-hmm.
There's some songs where maybe you want to have it loosened up a little bit, just open things up. But check this out real quick.
As you're pulling that out,
there it is.
And Stephen Franklin, no.
I don't know if it's going to show up either, but this one, the side D, has
there
has etching. It's etched with the cicada, I guess, branches or leaves or trees. So it's pretty cool, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, if you're going to check out one song from this record, check out 2. The last song, called Verses of Violence, which might be my favorite song that I've been a part of from Byzantine. It's a very, very epic, long-ass song. Oh, look at that. You weren't lying, Brian. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's really good album, really good song. It's funny talking to OJ about some of my favorite Byzantine songs, and a lot of them, like, it's not that he doesn't like them. He just like Pathogen besides Hatfield and Trap Jaw is my favorite song. And he's like, that if it wasn't for Jay, that song would have never been there. And that song's dope.
Well, the reason it wouldn't have been there is because it wasn't finished. Like they had the demo. I heard the demo, I think the day before the last day of tracking drums.
Yeah.
And I was like, why haven't I heard this song yet? And like, oh, we just didn't think we were going to put it on the record. I'm like, you're putting it on the record.
Yeah.
It ended up happening. So,
So Trap Jaw, everyone check out Trap Jaw by Byzantine off the Cicada Tree. My other song is Memory by Seven Dust. It's their first song off of, oh my God, I forgot what album. Just check it out. Memory, Seven Dust. The outro of that song is the shit. It's really good. I was just listening to it yesterday and I love it. I haven't listened to that song in like 2 years and I listened to that. It's amazing. Check that out.
Is it on one of like an earlier record or one of the last?
Off Blackout the Suns. I couldn't remember, but so that came out in like 2013, 2014. First song off it. The intro riff is great. It's a really good song. Vocally, Lejeune does an amazing job, and I think you'll like the guitar tone. It's pretty cool. It's kind of
Really?
yeah. It's good
Well,
stuff.
me or Johnny?
Oh, Johnny will hate it, but Jay, I think you'll. I think you may enjoy it. Johnny, I would love to sit with you and listen to some stuff and just to get your feedback and what you're listening to and what you like or what you don't.
Brian.
Yeah.
I think Johnny and I are very different, but I think in this sense, we're probably very similar, where if you show Johnny something in a genre of music that he doesn't like, especially at the age we are, right? Johnny and I are both in our early 20s. He must not be listening to us right now. Yeah, he's not. Maybe I should wait to say this.
Well, Jay, you don't like anything new.
I know that's what I mean.
You're like set in your ways. You're like an old man. You're like 68 years old, fickle musician.
Yeah, because Mike Balls gives me shit all the time. He's like, he'll send us you've seen him in the Gizmachi text thread. He'll be like, oh, Johnny's texting us saying we're all robotic, his internet's crapping out. I see him fine.
Yeah, you look handsome as hell, Johnny, by the way.
But I'll like Mike will send, songs for us to check out. I won't listen to them. I won't even click on the shit,
No, you won't.
But it's just weird. It's like I saw something. There was some survey done or some poll or some test, whatever the hell it was, saying that after the age of 33, like the average music listener, like serious listener, like I listen to music is always on in my house.
Yeah.
If something's on that I don't like, it gets turned off. That's just how I am, right?
Right.
So it for me, it's true. Like I may find a band that I've never heard of before that I'll hear and I'll be like, yeah, that's awesome. But it's usually something from like the 80s.
Sure.
Where I feel like I missed out on or something. But as far as modern metal, if it's a band that I haven't heard of before or listened to, sometimes I won't even give it a chance.
So what about the new Gojira song? Did you listen to it?
I didn't listen to it. I like Gojira. I've been meaning to check it out, but I haven't. I've been listening to too much Larry Mitchell lately.
It's great. You'll like it. And, my mom's been in the chat all night, so I have to say one thing. My mom is cool as hell. My mom will listen to anything. My mom's a little older than us, in her 60s, and I'll send my mom Slipknot or something just brutal, and she'd be like, "That's really cool, Brian. I can see why you like it." My mom is cool as hell. So if I haven't said it very often, Mom, love you, and you're. I think it's cool as hell that you take a lot of interest in what I like. So thank you. I really appreciate it. So had to say that.
Awesome. That's very good. And I'm sure growing up, and I can say the same thing. Like once I started listening to a lot of metal, my parents were very. It's almost like they didn't hear it, and I don't know how. I remember one time I had Anthrax pumping in my bedroom when I was probably, 14 years old or something, and they didn't say anything. And I remember thinking as a kid, like, they're going to be like, what is our son listening to?
Right.
My brother liked hard rock. He never really crossed over to the metal stuff. And, he played drums and everything, but still, once I started listening to that super Metallica and Pantera, like once that shit started, if I was my parents, I'd be like, turn it down. Get in there and turn it down. But they never really, I think they knew how much, it wasn't just me listening to music just to listen to music. They knew that it was a passion, and I think when your parents see their kid really like attach themselves to something and you could tell it means something, it's different. It's a different thing. You see your kid enjoying something. I see it now with Ellie. Like she'll be watching something or she listens to rock, but I see her, and I'm sure it's the same thing with your kids. Like you see them enjoying something and you're like, oh my God, but you tolerate it.
Yeah. No, my kids listen to everything I listen to. So I'm like, all new Gojira, we're listening to it. But now Brody is starting to branch off and is listening to a few other things.
Like
Yeah.
what?
Juice World.
I don't even know what that is.
It's just some terrible rap stuff.
Oh,
And
Brody, get over here.
so then I'm like, all right, Brody, if we're gonna listen to rap, we're gonna listen to good rap. And I'll put on like old school Noriega or Wu-Tang or 4321 by Method Man and Redman, stuff like that I grew up on. I'm like, here's some really good beats, not this auto-tuned.
What does he think of the old stuff then?
Loves it. He thinks it's really cool. And then let's say we're going to hit and I have another player in the car. He's like, play those songs for them. So I'm like teaching these kids late 90s, early 2000s hip hop, hardcore rap. It's pretty cool.
They're gonna bring gangster rap home to their parents.
I am. It's in Simsbury. It's great. But then, yeah, but we'll listen to Slipknot, or Brody's like, I want to hear the new Gojira song, or he loves Mastodon. So, which is cool. And the girls too. So it's good. It's great. Like Rory's 6 years old. She knows stuff comes on. She's like, oh, it's Slipknot. I'm like, hell yeah.
Well,
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
Ellie does the same thing. All I have to do is the intro to Blackened. You know, the fade in with the reverse guitars. The second she hears it, Metallica, and I won't even tell her. I'll be like, Jeannie, watch this. And I'll just put it on. Literally, the second you start hearing the guitar or the guitars, Metallica. And I'm like, yes, that's my girl.
Hell yeah. Make an impression. Johnny, is it coming back?
Robot Master Switch said metal music is calming. Yeah. You see that study that they did with heavy metal music? It actually calms the savage beast.
It does.
Wow. Yeah, my internet went out.
Yeah, your
still
internet
now?
went out?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Can you hear me? Am I choppy?
Yeah, we can hear
Am I
you.
robot?
You're choppy, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to turn the Wi-Fi off.
Oh. Well, we can wrap it up, man.
Yeah, we can wrap it up. So no producers on the end of the show.
Well, we can do that, yeah.
Oh, there we go. All right. Thank you to our channel members: Chuck Green, Fruitcake Tony, Michael Smith, David Ennis, Mike Neese, Dick Poole, Linny Lou and Mary, Garguts Entertainment, Kurt 5150, KXM Rock, Arhabs, Will Star, Stephen Franklin, Wayno, Sean Bolin, Nicole Mrazek, Joe Christian, Mickey Settlemeyer, Sue Silvestri, David Shea Gamori, Bo Zeke, Crazy Cook, I always say Crazy Cock, Crazy Cook 678, Carol Hatcher.
Wait, pause it.
Yep.
Carol Hatcher, I want to say everybody give some positive thoughts to my great mother-in-law. She's recovering from a little neck surgery procedure. So we're all wishing her well and to a speedy recovery. We love you, Carol.
Love you, Carol. We have False Flag, Margaret Scranton, Sean Silas, Julia Baldessari, Jarhead Rock. And sorry, Jarhead Rock, you sent a super chat earlier and we didn't get to it. So
we missed it.
We missed it, but
I'm
thanks,
sorry,
buddy.
Jarhead Rock. I'll text Mark. What's the question? I'll text him and ask him.
I forgot.
There wasn't a question. I don't think there was a question.
I think he was just
It was,
sending us
it was a
love.
super sticker.
Oh, super sticker. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a thumbs up.
Oh, here we go. Jay, you can handle this.
All right, we got Halface. Oh, this is the channel members. Halface, John Moronic, James Gum, Hillary Lewis, Jim Nicholas, 802 Blues, Mr. BHB Jr. Is that Bruce? I think that's Bruce. Frank 5150, Pal Guitars, Dan Halen, Frank Corcoran, Ben Tom. What's up, man? Jeff T, R2R3 Locking Nut, Robot Master Switch, 6 Chick 71, Rick Green, Thomas Santiago, Voodoo Child, says Jay. Brian Spalding, Fender Guru, Music Therapy Laz, Ghost BC Rich, 5150 TV, Jimmy Ray Hawkins, Hugh Caldwell, Crosby's Jesus Repays Me, Randy Price, and Steve Carmichael.
Steve Carmichael.
Steve Carmichael. Everybody. Steve Carmichael.
There we go.
Is that it? Did I get them all?
That's it. Great job, Jay.
Great job, you. And thanks, Johnny. Very much.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And
Great show.
we will see everyone soon. Make sure you vote. Go to Liquid Metal, Gizmachi. And we'll see everyone soon. And Friday, you'll see these two handsome men back as long as Johnny's internet's back up and running. And,
It should be. Hopefully.
So everyone tune in on Friday. And then also
Looks like
Saturday.
Looks like if you had a twin, like a brother.
That's true.
It looks like the one on the left is looking kind of up, but the one on the right is looking down. That's weird. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, who's that handsome bloke?
So everyone check out Saturday Night Live with Johnny Beane, hosted by John Bull. And you got Jay stopping in. You got Nerd Halen once in a while. Neanderthal. Good stuff, guys. Make sure everyone
Can't forget the captain.
and the captain, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, man.
Internet's terrible.
All right. Well, yeah. Everybody follow my social media. Follow my band on Instagram. Come on. For Christ's sake.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Johnny.
Bye.